welcome to Breakfast at Mom's. I'm Mom, a.k.a. Sandra, and these are my daughters, Candace and Alyssa, and these are my daughter-in-laws, Brooks and Felisha. And we want to welcome you to our online community of women. And let me tell you a secret. There are men that have been watching, that have been telling us, hey, we're watching. And they say that we are helping their relationship. Awesome. So we love it. So ladies, get your man to watch. And then we might say something you want him to know. But today, our moderator is going to be Brooks.
Hi.
Beautiful Brooks. And what are we going to talk about?
Talk about friendships.
Woo. All right, let's talk about it.
So all y'all know I am kind of quiet, kind of shy.
No,
right? And friendships kind of come hard to me. And they've had since I was young. Like I have a very small, very neat group of people. And it honestly surprises me when other people will come up to me and be like, I love you. You're my best friend. You know, and I'm like, whoa, we're there? Like,
no one told me.
I know. Hold on.
I did not participate.
But I think friends are like a huge essential part of our lives.
Yes.
You know, they are with us through the good, the bad. You know, they walk through us through different parts of everything that we're going through. And so I just wanted to talk about kind of what we've experienced in all of the different places that we are. And like, how do you find that you make friends at different stages of life? So we're walking into, you know, Candace, you're newly married. Alyssa, you've got, you know, Dale and the babies at home. You know, how do we like go out and find new friends?
Well, that is a good question.
I am too old to be trying to find friends.
Making friends is like dating. It's so awkward.
So hard.
It's so funny.
I'd say like for being
Thank God we're all friends.
I know,
Yeah.
right?
being newlywed.
You are my friends.
And I was just off the single market and all my friends. Now we still talk all the time, but the time spent with each other is very little. We are these friends. I don't know if you've seen the memes or whatever. Like, so what calendar date can we see each other for dinner? It's like once a month that we try to plan just to catch up on life. And it's so those are like relationships I have now still, and I'm trying to still keep it.
Right.
But then what is it like for meeting Colby's friends? And like now you're having to make new friends in that scenario.
Yeah, because you're in the make new friend zone.
Yeah. I am. So Colby,
Candace is like, what can I say?
So actually, surprisingly, we had our wedding, and I asked like people to invite, and I go, "Do you have friends? Do you want to invite?"
He say this like he can't make friends.
He can. I'm saying
Yes, he can.
I never met them, so I have no idea.
His friends were
because his
great.
paramedics and stuff, and so when I came into, there was no one like came in the door, hang out. So meeting his friends when our wedding day was practically, it was like so cool.
Wedding week, because we had a week in Mexico.
And it's not like I met them, my whole family met them. And so
they got plunged in.
They were so fun. And then now also, I think for me, it was like meeting the neighbors. That was for me like meeting friends, because I never had a house.
Colby already had that house, so he had established relationship.
Yeah. What do house people do instead of apartment people? Apartment people, we don't ever like, I don't want to talk to my neighbor. They don't want to know I exist. If you don't talk to me, I won't talk to you. But going to a house and like, oh, that's that person. That's that person. I'm like, you know them?
So funny.
Like, you know who these people are? So that was new to me, and try to remember people's names across the street. Like, oh yeah, I'll borrow the wee weeder or this person. And like, so meeting like, you know, my other friends who then we invite to our wedding. I'm like, oh, this is cool. So it's different because it's your adult, but it's like, you're not inviting those people to the bar necessarily, but I'm like, what you got going on in your yard today?
How's that garden going?
Did you
How
use
many
that
inches
stuff?
did your grass grow this week?
That's all funny.
And they're like, oh, how'd
Is
you make
it HOA approved?
Yeah.
Exactly. I was like, what made your grass green? I mean, those are
so
the
funny.
conversations we're
But that's
having
so
nowadays.
true. Like
Welcome to married life.
adult relationships are so weird because, I mean, you watch our kids and they're like, we'll run up to anyone. Hey, do you want to play chase? And they're like, they're best friends by the end of the day.
Yeah.
Now it's so odd. You kind of have to navigate that like weird, what's the weather, small talk. And then
But
like,
you still have your best friend that you met in college, Brittany.
so that's,
we love you.
That's very
you.
different. But like Brooks was saying, meeting new people, I think has been, for me, the hardest challenge moving back home, because we had established such thick and great friendships when I was in college. And then even in mine and Dale's early married life, he was in an office where every everybody was friends
Dale
with everyone.
Dale can be friends with the entire world.
Yes. And so I was kind of thrown into that. I mean, he lived in a house, I think, with like 6 different guys who all had girlfriends or fiancés. So it was just like a very different world.
Do trips together and stuff.
So now I moved back home, and like Mom said, we are all so close. There's 15 of us. So it's not like
we're 16, just so you know.
We're 16.
There's 16 of us.
I lost someone.
You didn't count your child. It's about to be a year old.
Oh, I have a baby.
Well,
I'm like, we've always been 15. Where did we add one?
You added one.
Baby Dale.
You added.
I did it.
My bad. Good thing is he's not old enough to watch this.
Save this forever.
Yeah. So anyway, but it is so different now. And I think, I mean, one of the only places that I'm meeting new people is at church. Like that is where I'm gaining like conversation with people outside of our 16 people. I think that's one of the best ways as an adult that you're going to meet someone, especially like Candace was saying, when you're out of that age where it's no longer like you're going to the bars, you're doing that thing that you're married, you might have kids, and you're like, God, I don't want to do that anymore. Like, where am I going to meet people? Because I'm not doing that.
The grocery store.
Literally. So if you're not plugged into a church family,
what are you talking about? How am I supposed to meet people?
As much as we fully love our online community, and I think it's so beneficial, if you are craving face-to-face interactions, I feel like that's the first place to look is in your local community. Where can I be on a Sunday morning?
Yeah, and mine is different because I'm an empty nester. So some of my friendships have been maintained for years. I mean, Lisa and I have been friends for over 30 years. That's awesome. And then losing. I'm at that stage where now we're losing friends, losing a very good friend this last week. So that is tough too, because it's weird. Dad and I said on the way home that day of, man, we're not ready for this part of our life where we're old enough to lose friends now. This is tough, but you challenge those friends that you have way more. I have felt this last week, 2 weeks, because it's been 2 weeks today. I have felt these last 2 weeks this more of a draw to my friends and my really close girlfriends. I have felt this draw of like, man, we want to be together.
You need to hang out.
We want to hang out more, even if it's for an hour or whatever, but we want to talk more because you start realizing, wow, friendships are really, 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 really important. Yeah. So it's a different rare stage of and having close friends for so long. It's hard. How in high school you swear you're going to be friends forever and ever. and if you are that way, that's wonderful.
That's awesome. Yeah.
I am not close friends with anyone, though I have people that I still talk to through social media. Yeah. Hi, all my high school friends. And I love that, and I love seeing their grandkids and what their children and what's going on in their lives. But you don't keep. It's rare. That you keep your best friend from high school
that long.
And that you stay that close together, and then then you meet people later in life. Like you might stay more with some of your college friends, stay closer 100%. If they were true, but it's those friends. Like I think back to wow, how I was in my 20s when I met some of my friends that are my closest friends, and then God brings other women into my life, and we became fast friends, and I love that.
So in going with that, you make the friends, you have friends, you've got them, life changes. We've got husbands, we've got kids, we've got jobs, we've got moving to different places. Yeah. Like, how do you think we maintain those friendships? So like I'm the friend that I fall off the face of the earth, and I know that about myself, and I think that's one of the reasons why I back off from making a lot of friends, because I know my schedule is so busy and I feel like I can't give them 100%. And so it's like, what do you think is, I feel like, and I'm asking you this because I know that in my life you've been that person that I think is going to answer this question the way.
Oh, the pressure is on.
Pressure. But that does this really well in keeping and maintaining those friendships. So, like, what is it that you do? Like, what is it that you think is right?
So with me, I have probably one friend that I have kept like a true friendship. Like, you know, my high school best friend, she passed away a couple years ago, but we had been friends since we were 4.
Right. Yeah.
So like we grew up together. And then when I started working, like I just made these friendships. I'm very standoffish. I'm introvert. So someone has to kind of like chase me a little bit. But once I'm your friend, like I'm your friend forever. And it's, I think, respecting where they're at in life. So like whenever my friends started getting married and having kids, like I was the single one. But when I got the invites to the kids' birthday parties, like I went to them. I called, checked up on them, like things like that. But also knowing that they respect me at the place that I'm at now. But I think it's just, hey, like, are you doing okay? Is there anything I can do for you type?
Right.
I think it's like you're saying, it's having that grace for people. Like I remember a season of life, we've been talking about my best friend. She and I were roommates in college, and then we got an apartment together. She lived here for a while and then decided to move back home to Illinois. So that is like my other half. So when she left, that was such a
She's my other half too. She's my spirit animal.
She is secretly a Hersey. But when she left, I remember it was that like weird difference of this is someone that I see every day and have like face value with. And now that has changed. And for us, it was finding that grace with each other. Like, no, we don't live with each other or in the same town or even the same state, but we talk to each other every single week. And if we don't, we feel it. And it is one of those things that it's like, I still have that person that I can rack my brain and bounce things off of, even if we're not shopping or getting coffee at the same time. Like I still have my person, but it's that grace of going, okay, even though you're there, I'm still going to extend that time. When she was not married and I was walking through my first few years of marriage, what a different season. But we had to have grace of, okay, tell me about all the dates you've gone on to her. And she had to listen to me when I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. Why is Dale this way? Like, but we had that. And now we're again in a different season. She's now newly married and I have kids. And so she listens as my kids are screaming in the background. And I think the first few times she was like, is everything okay? Now she can just drown it out with me because we've like established that together.
But I think it's also you make that time for the phone call. Like I remember Courtney before she passed, like there was a specific day every week that I had to drive to Ponte Vedra. And that was the time that we talked and we caught up, and it was like, we didn't drop the phone. Like we just picked up right where we left off.
100%.
And thank God for text now. You know, I didn't have that for, so long, but now it's great. And I think for you, because it's a little bit easier. Sometimes I think, you know what? Let me just send a text. Like I think about them, and then I'm like, let me just send them a text to let them know I'm thinking about them or I love them. So maybe that will be something to help you, because then you're not having to have a long conversation, because we don't have time for long conversation. Right. But we can send a text to say, I love you. Just thinking about you today. Right. You know, how are you doing?
I will say, Brooks, though, although you feel that way, I feel like you are very intentional. Because
I agree.
You will send
Who
stuff.
sends me flowers after every single trip
on
we
the phone
take?
with Mom, and she was like, oh, I just got flowers delivered. She goes, I bet you I know exactly who this is from.
I said, I don't even need to read this card. Brooks has sent me flowers to thank me for the vacation.
You are very intentional. So I don't feel like you don't know how to maintain those friendships, because I feel like you go above to show.
And I think that obviously, because you guys are friends, I think for me it's that making that new friend.
Yeah.
And bringing them
I don't know how to help you on that.
Have to.
Because believe it or not, I'm an introvert.
Right. Because I want to make sure I'm 100% intentional. I'm like, I don't know if I have the time to add that in.
Right.
Yeah. Right. I take up all her time.
That's fair.
And some friends are not... Maybe not every friend is in the same category.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
Some friends are just, they're fun friends, or they're, I don't know how to categorize it, but some friends are
season, a reason, or a lifetime.
Yeah, there's definitely
season, reason, or a lifetime. I love that. And so some friends are like, I'm going to tell like, oh my gosh, my deepest, darkest too. Some are just, you know, they're fun. They're feel good friends. Some are, you know, I'm going to tell you, you know, this or that. Or not
some
every friendship.
Like, I'm sure you have mom friends when you go to baseball games that may not necessarily be who you call when your life is falling apart.
But you can talk to at the ball game.
I have a funny story. So obviously we've established that friendship is weird for me. But so to the point that my child this season, I did make a mom friend at the baseball team, right? Like we're on the same page. We like hanging out with each other when we're there. And he came over one day and he goes, Mom, you've made a friend. That means that we can go hang out together. I'm so proud of you.
I love kids so much.
I was like, I love it. But it's awkward that you're realizing that. And we're not going to her house.
Right. We are going to stay right here and chill together.
And you know what's so funny about that is like at Chasen's game, my son plays football, and then I have my daughter. My daughter's my excuse for me not to talk to anybody. Like, she's my little best friend because I was so awkward. Like,
yes, I feel that.
I like your hair.
Yeah. But you know what? The funny thing is, as women, everybody there are probably feeling exactly the same way because it is. I mean, it is hard. You think about even little kids too, you know, say hi, and they're shy. So, you know.
Oh, that's the most uncomfortable. When especially when you meet a kid that is just wants to talk to everyone. And the mom's like, oh, she talks to everyone. So sorry. And you're like, say hi. Say hi. And your kid's like hiding behind your leg. And you're like, I promise she's not a gremlin. Your kid's so nice. Is it not where you're like, oh my God, for the love, use your words. You're like trying, but it's because the other mom, you're like trying not to feel uncomfortable in front of her. So you're like, please.
Kingston would just stare.
Yes. The Kingston stare.
All in my head, I'm like stranger danger.
Why are you speaking to me?
Yeah.
Okay, this is how the park with Alyssa actually goes.
Oh, gosh.
Oh, God.
A parent comes up with your kid. Maddie, Bella, get y'all's toys. Let's go. It's time to go.
Okay, but in my defense, I'm not trying to say let's go. Our kids act like the park is their house. So if you look, like the swings have Bluey on them and the snacks are up on the tower. Like they have moved into the park. And so I'm embarrassed.
And heaven forbid you move anything Maddie Grace puts anywhere.
The bag has been unpacked. They have moved in. And so a parent comes with their kid and I'm like, oh my gosh, we are like so embarrassing. Get all of your snacks from there. And our girls just stare at kids. Like they don't say anything. They just sit there and watch other kids play. I'm like, guys, say hello. And the girls are just like holding hands, like looking at other kids together. I'm like, y'all are the worst. But probably because Flea and I are metaphorically holding hands in the corner, also staring at people.
Exactly.
Wow. We are getting off topic a lot. Park etiquette.
Maybe somebody needs to come do this podcast for us to listen.
So what we're saying in all of this is we suck at making friends and maintaining friendships, which I don't think is true at all because we all have
the
friends.
maintaining part is easy.
Yes.
I'm needy, and when I need something, I'm going to tell you. Listen, I think it was a year and a half ago. Alyssa she kept declining all my offers to hang out.
I was pregnant and miserable.
So I finally texted her one day. I said, did I do something to offend you? Like, you keep telling me you don't want to hang out, and I really miss you.
I mean, yeah, but that's, I think you need that.
Yeah.
Like you need people that don't necessarily beat around the bush to ask you something. I feel like when you're close to someone,
they can say anything.
You can have
you have those
discussions of like, hey, I need this from you,
or
and you're
call
not
you
meeting
out
me.
on your ish.
Oh yeah, and again, it's not every friendship,
right. I don't. Every friendship is not that way.
But you need people that you trust because you have that respect that they can say something to you and you're like, okay, like I hear that and I see, and maybe it's not right then. There's many times Brittany has been like, said something and in my mind I'm like, girl, I will fight you. You are so dead wrong. And then I like think about it and I'm like, oh, dang, she was right. Like,
I've had those moments too.
So we've established different types of friends, different places. You're growing friendships, you're maintaining friendships. At what point do you start integrating your faith into friendships. So I know you mentioned earlier that you've been finding friends at church.
Yeah.
Right. So you automatically kind of have this shared, understanding of faith and priorities and balance. But like for the friends that you find elsewhere, like, or the friends that you've had before that for high school, things like that may not have that same basis. At what point do you maybe start sharing faith or, encouraging each other with, scripture and things like that? Like where do you find that?
I think that what you find is when someone's really going through something really, really hard, that's when you're able to say, okay, this is how I've gotten through really, really tough seasons in my life. So that's an opportunity to be able to share that with them.
Yeah. And I'm lucky enough for that in the beginning of my friendships, they all knew I was at church. I mean, they already just knew. One, I think also I always pray the light over myself, and like your children say, I want to be a light into the world, and I want favor in the people I meet every day. I want favor in their eyes. And I think that has a lot to do with it. I think Mom prayed ever since we were little. I want, you have favor. Everybody who sees you is just something gravitating to you, and you bring the light into the world. And I think you start praying that over your children now, and it will just come naturally. And every person I've met, I'm like, I go to church. Yep, on Sunday, hang out with my family. My brother's a pastor. It's just, and no one's ever like, whoa, Christian. I'm like, if they don't like it, they don't like it. That's their cup of tea. I'm champagne, so it doesn't matter. Like, it's their cup of tea.
Wait, that's good.
That's not their cup of tea, but that's okay because I'm champagne of God.
Yeah,
I'm champagne, so it doesn't. I'm like, I know it's okay, but then I pray for that person. I'm like, they'll come around, and then guess what? They come around. When that time comes around, they come back
to come to, because you are being that light. And one of the things that I have always said is your life is probably the most Bible that most people will ever read.
Exactly.
So be that person genuinely, be you, but be that person. And when they are facing a difficult situation, they're going to seek you out and say, hey, and I don't know what to do in the middle of that. And then that's your opportunity.
And it's okay. Cause like I said, they're tea, but not in a bad, then I'll just wait. Cause patience,
or being that person, not even like in the bad seasons, but the person that's going to be the light in the everyday conversations. There are some people who walk around and are so negative about every aspect of life. And sometimes when you surround yourself with those people, I mean, the saying goes, you will become the people that you hang out with. And so I think start with you, start being the person that's like, hey, all the other girls that we hung out with college or high school or whatever, they might be really negative when we're talking about our work or our spouse or our kids. I'm going to be the one that doesn't feed into that. I'm going to be the one that talks my spouse up or talks about the great sides of motherhood or talks about, hey, at least I have a job. That might have been a bad situation, or maybe it is coworkers and they're all complaining. Being the person that's like, hey, you know what? Yeah, that sucks. I know that's not what we were expecting, but we're going to do this instead. Being a light in that way, not necessarily always when the sky is falling, but just the day-to-day conversations, being the one that people are like, you know what? Flea is always really positive when it comes to her spouse and her kids and her work. I want to be more like that. And then they can say, why are you always positive? That's a great way to start that conversation.
John Piper says it so well. He says, preach Jesus every day and use words if you have to. So that's the way we walk and we live and we react to things.
Yeah,
that's
awesome.
Right. And I think it's pretty important to actually pray for your friends.
Absolutely.
Oh, yes.
We talk about praying over ourselves and being the light and everything, but all
the time.
Pray for them.
Be intentional about praying for them specifically, believers or not. To bless their lives and to grow their lives.
And those people appreciate the fact that if they knew you were praying for them, they don't
I do all the time.
necessarily have to.
I think you
I feel like we have friends that are close enough. If Britt's going through something, I'll literally be in the family chat. Hey, Britt's going through this stuff. I need all of y'all to pray about it.
Exactly. Not that you tell us what it is, but exactly. We all seem to do that.
Well, thank you guys. I appreciate it.
Well, you're all great friends, and I do love the fact that we are all friends together and that we love to be together. We love doing things together. I love that. It's not a put on thing for us. We are all good friends together. So I love that. Well, that's all we have time for today. So thanks for joining us. Make sure you put in the comments things that you want us to talk about. Go to our website and come join us on Instagram, because we have a lot of fun over there on Instagram. So come and do that. So until next week, we want to say bye, and we'll see you then. All right.